This podcast contains the 3 S's: spoilers, sex, and swearing. If this is triggering to you, please take care. Welcome back. We are no longer on Discord.
No.
But shout out to Grace's insane editing skills.
TBH. I'm a queen. I used to do that for fun, though. I would, edit songs and, splice them together for fun. But we go on.
You're a DJ. Is that what you're saying? You have a past life as a DJ?
Pretty much. It mostly came from doing competitive dance. So,
Cool.
my dance teachers would do these, and then I'd be like, I could do that. And then ADHD brain would, match up random songs that sound the same enough.
You're like that, what's her face in Pitch Perfect?
Not that impressive. more splicey, less remix.
You sure we're not gonna see you remixing Snoop Dogg in Christmas carols?
And here comes Santa Claus.
Yeah, that was great. I listen to that every Christmas.
It is a treat.
Yes,
Those movies are great.
they're fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're back. We're taking a break from Grace's rage because I don't think she could handle any more of that for a while. We will be doing Court of Wings and Ruin. It just hasn't come yet, and we want to get Michelle back, and we haven't sorted out a schedule yet. But we brought you someone else today. This is Janine. Janine is another one of our peers in our grad school program, and she's here. Hello, Janine. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
She's very nervous.
It's weird. It is.
She's very nervous, but that's okay. We're glad to have her here because we are doing the first, we were calling them mini-sodes, but they are probably going to be full-length episodes, knowing how much we like to rant. Today's topic is our favorite and least favorite book couples that we have read. So we didn't divide this up into YA and adult. We kind of spanned all the genres, and we each came up with a couple that we liked, disliked, and we have some that are on the fence. So, shall we begin?
Sure.
Yeah. So we're starting with our likes because there's a lot of negativity on this podcast, and we wanted to spice it up a little bit and be happy about something for once. My mom listened to this podcast and was like, "You guys just bitch," and I was like, "Yeah, what about it?"
It's in the
title.
It's right there.
What did you expect? Love you, Mom. Okay, so I'm starting out with, I'm going down the YA road, and I'm saying that I like For and Tris from Veronica Roth's Divergent. That story went downhill, but them as a couple I really liked, and I liked them because, for those of you that haven't read it, Trish is being initiated into a new faction in society in a post-apocalyptic / dystopian Chicago. There are 4 groups of society: the brave, the selfless, the peaceful, and the intelligent, and she has decided to move from the selfless faction to the brave faction, and 4 is the trainer, if you will, that is tasked with training the new recruits to the brave faction, and they develop a relationship. Reason that I like this is because I feel like in a lot of YA novels, there's a lot of power imbalance in a lot of the relationships. Like, one person clearly has the upper hand over usually the female character, and I did feel that 4 treated Tris as an equal and valued what she had to say, and yeah, that's why I like them. You look like you disagree.
I'm just hesitant. I have not read this series because when the dystopian craze hit, I had just finished Hunger Games, and I was like...
So you're over it?
Well, no, not that I was over it, but just I don't need anything other than this. I did read a bit of Maze Runner, which I have thoughts on specifically for this episode later. But with that, I find it interesting that you say you're used to power imbalances and that being sketchy. And then in the same breath, he was her trainer.
They're the same age.
Okay.
There's no, he's 2 years older.
Okay, cool. I was also confused because I'm just picturing the people in the movie, and in the movie 4 looks like he's 30.
No, in the book he's 18 and she's 16.
Okay, that's passable. Yeah, I am also a big fan of let me teach you new things and open your world dynamics. I actually find those really fun. But yeah, okay. You perhaps persuaded me.
I really liked the Divergent series. I felt like the story went downhill a little bit. The ending was quite controversial, but I at least like the first book. If you just read the first book, it's really great.
Yeah.
Janine, would you like to tell us about a couple that you liked?
Yes. My favorite book and favorite couple of all time is Wes and Macy from The Truth About Forever, which is also YA.
High school throwback.
I've probably read it 10 times. And I think, for me, especially in high school, the reason that I would, the way to make me love a couple and want is if you want to be in that relationship, you want to be that girl, you really love the guy, which is why, I'm not going to talk about Twilight, but that's why I was like, why do people like this? I would never want a vampire baby coming out of my stomach. But anyways, I digress. The sweetest thing about Wes and Macy is that when they meet, they both have, like, they're both on relationships that are on hold, so they're not technically available to date.
Spicy.
So, no, but, like, they have this amazing friendship that happens where, like, they hang out all the time by accident because they work at the same place, and it's really, really sweet. And they just, I love it so much, and I'll never get tired of it.
Do you know what's interesting about that? Well, you've read the other Sarah Dessen books.
Yeah, all of them.
So you know how they're like in the same universe. So
Yeah.
in this universe, after Macy and Wes get together and she leaves her boyfriend, whose name escapes me.
Oh, the shitty,
Yeah.
the smarty pants asshole.
I forget his name, but
I hate
let's just
him so
call him
much.
Mr.
He
Smarty
doesn't,
Pants.
he doesn't need a name.
He tries to
Remember
date
though.
Auden, who is the main character in
You're
another
right.
one of her books, and she rejects him, and
He's
he's
good.
bitter.
Like, the way that he treats her in The Truth About Forever makes me just so mad. The funny thing about this whole thing is that her boyfriend works at a library, and she has to take over his job at the library when he goes to brain camp, as they call it. And the whole every time I read it now, I'm like, oh man, I want to be a librarian. And, like, this girl's, like, the librarian girls are, like, the bitchiest of bitchy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're the worst. So I think that's funny. But no, he doesn't deserve anyone. He's mean. He wouldn't even, like, hold her hand. Like, he was like, no, stay over there. Like, no. Gross.
Yeah. He had a superiority complex.
I hated him.
For
Read the book.
sure.
I'm still really hung up on the Sarah Dessen extended universe.
Yeah,
all of
so,
her books
okay,
are in the same universe.
They're not all in the exact, not all of them, but, like, a lot of them get set in the beach town of Colby, which is, like, a fake town, obviously.
Okay, adorable.
So sometimes, if you know her books well enough, yeah, like, a character from one book will just cameo in another book.
Yeah.
Like, Along for the Ride, which is about two,
Thank you, I lost
like,
that
like a couple who, like, are both insomniac and they end up hanging out in the middle of the night all the time, like laundromats and stuff, and it's
Adorable.
absolutely adorable. Anything by her is my favorite couple, by the way. That book, someone cameos in that and sits next to, I think it's one of the girl characters. She sits next to the other girl at the laundromat, and you're like, whoa, I know you.
Yeah, it's not like a series in that you have to read the
No,
other ones to understand
they're not at
what's
all
going on.
connected.
No, but it
It's
they
just like
take
a
place in the
Little
same.
secret.
That is
There's
really fun.
Colby, and then there's Lakeview is another town that we're but they're cute. I like Sarah Dessen is really good if you just want something that's not complicated, really sweet, but not stupid. Eli and Auden are my
She
favorite.
does it so well. Which one are they?
From
They're Along for the Ride?
yeah.
It's becoming a TV show, eh?
Oh,
Or a movie.
I'm
I forget.
excited. I hope so. I like that one.
She just announced on Instagram just recently. It's coming out in April, but it's not. There's nothing on YouTube. I can't find a trailer or anything.
in
It's
April,
really
this
nice.
April.
Yes, this April 2022. So I was like, why is there no trailer for this? I just really want to know. But yeah, Along for the Ride. would be
Netflix
awesome.
doesn't tend to release trailers for things until like a month before, like pretty.
Yeah, they're
close.
very, very tight.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my first.
I love
Good
that.
one. Grace, go ahead.
Let's stick with the YAs then.
Okay.
They're not like my favorite couple, but they were one of the first ones that came to mind. Simon and Baz from the Carry On series,
Ooh.
which, full disclosure, I have not read the last book yet, but I am very excited for it. And Wayward Son is like, that's one that I fell asleep to for a while when I like just borrowed it on Libby. Like for those 3 weeks, I would just replay it to go to sleep. But yeah, I'm a bit of a slut for enemies to lovers, and I really love that for them, especially because Baz the entire time, every time you're in his head, is just pining so hard. And like, there's a whole line about how like I would punch him in the face just to touch him. Like, like they're just the worst. But I really feel like they needed the second book and presumably the third to like actually be a memorable couple, like for me personally, because like the second book being where their life goes and how their relationship kind of like crumbles for a hot sec because Simon's depressed now. Like it was really fun and nice and like a unique opportunity that I just didn't get a lot out of romances that like came up in the books that I was reading. So I enjoyed them. I got a flinch from Maddy, so that's
No. I just did you look at my list of couples?
I noticed that one of them was Levi and
Kath.
I lost her name. Yeah, Kath. Like from Fangirl.
So, if you guys don't know, the Carry On series spawned because Rainbow Rowell came out with Fangirl, which is about a girl named Kath who writes fan fiction on this pseudo Harry Potter series, the Simon Snow series. And then her fans were asking, because Kath's fan fiction is featured so prominently in Fangirl, they asked Rainbow Rowell to actually write Kath's fan fiction.
And she said that she was like, she had thought so hard and like had developed this whole universe and was in love with these characters that she was like, they have a story and I want to tell it now. Like it wasn't entirely the fans being like crazy and demanding. It was also just her being inspired and like enjoying it. I follow her on Tumblr.
She's great. I love her to bits.
So sweet.
Do you have like anything else to say about Simon and Baz?
What else do I have? Simon is idiot derogatory to idiot affectionate. That's a note for some reason. I think that's it though. Yeah.
So like I said, one of my next favorite couple is Kath and Levi from Fangirl, and it is a story about Kath, who is the twin to Ren. And if this sounds fishy to you, it's because their absentee mother thought she was having a single girl, was going to name her Catherine, and then surprise, they were twins. So we have Cather, her name is Cather, and Ren, Wren.
I love the name Ren.
She didn't want to come up with a new name, so she split it in two. And Kath is, I mean, once again, not mental health professional, but she's got like some anxieties, social anxiety is pretty clear.
Yeah.
She depends a lot on her twin Ren, who is the more outgoing, the more social one, and they're going to college, and Kath is very upset because Ren has said that she does not want to be roommates with her. So Kath is assigned to a random who is Regan, and we love Regan. She's kind of this quintessential goth, who's also pretty out there, and she kind of takes Kath under her wing after she notices that Kath has not left their room in 2 weeks and has not gone to meal hall since they arrived.
She's been sustaining on granola bars.
Yeah, while she writes her fan fiction, her Simon Snow fan fiction, Carry On. And we meet Levi, who is Regan's ex, but now they're just best friends. And Levi works at Starbucks, and he's just a really easygoing guy. And I really like that he always validates how Kath is feeling. When she has anxiety attacks, he's always there for her. As their relationship develops and she wants to slow it down, he's willing to go as slow as she wants. He's like, I just like being with you. And like my favorite scenes in the book were because Levi has trouble reading, Kath would read him the books from their the novel study course he had to take. So there's a really great moments where she reads him The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, and it was just really cute. And I really like that he is forgiving is not the right word, but he's very like accommodating to her needs, and it was nice to see. So that was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which is I reread like once a year. I love it so much. My copy's destroyed.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's one that, like, I remember when I read it, it really warmed my heart, and I felt so seen, because, like, I've not written fangirl not written fan fiction in, like, a really long time. But, like, I did, and I think about it, and I still read it. No shame, because it's awesome. But, like, even when
She's a big My Immortal fan.
No, I was not into fan fiction when that came out, so I didn't know about it until, like, everyone started making videos about it. Anyway. But yeah, so like when I was interviewing for the job at the bookstore that I have right now, they were like, go into the stacks, pick a book that represents you, and I picked up Fangirl, the graphic novel version of Fangirl, because I was like, I like graphic novels, and also like, I am university student, and I'm nerd.
Russian.
I'm depression.
I said Russian.
Not even for this interview, although I did show up in heels and never again.
You own heels?
I cannot imagine
I
that.
own like 3 pairs, including a pair of what I have called my hooker boots, but they go up to like here and I have not had an opportunity to wear them out yet because I did buy them during lockdown.
Let's go out.
Right?
I don't have any hooker heels though.
I
Or
wear
heels at all.
shoes because I like to dance and I have to do so comfortably. So.
See, and I do have like a chunky heel one that are like better for fun times. But I also just like I don't know how many people I have informed of this, but I've been to a single nightclub 3
It's
times.
my favorite story.
I don't go out a lot, so like when I do go
I
out,
haven't
it's
been
like
at all since I moved here.
you're gonna be adorable. Oh, not since I've been here. In the
Oh.
last like 5 years.
In her whole
Um,
life.
Yeah, my entire life.
I was talking about since you moved here. Sorry.
Can you imagine if Carson been out to 3 nightclubs without us for
I was low-key
Where do you think I am on Saturday?
Yeah, like the whole point of this story was that I never go out. I just have these heels to never wear.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, so no, I felt it very relatable. Also, did you know that there's gonna be a Reagan like novella
I did not.
happening? I think it's this summer. I could be wrong.
I
but
love
it's
her
really
so.
cute.
I really like her friendship with Kath.
Yes.
There's like a scene, I don't know why I remember this, but she calls Kath like during Christmas break, and then she just goes, "Do we need a couch?" And Kath is like, "We wouldn't fit one." And then Regan says, "My mom says we need a couch." Mom, do not put the couch in the car.
The other thing I had about it was I remember like when learning about After and the moment where like Hardin is in her room when she comes out of the shower or whatever, I was like, this happens in Fangirl. like I remember he either shows up at the door unannounced and she's like, what the heck, what are you doing here? Or he is in the room when she gets back and she's like, I have never left before, what are you doing here? I remember it. Did it happen? Am I making that
Yeah,
up?
but it was like less. He wasn't. You know,
Oh, he's
a
not
dick.
awful about it. Yeah.
He's not a dick.
No.
And she
he
was like,
rocks.
"I have to
We stand
change,"
by.
and he was like, "Okay, I'll turn around."
Yeah.
And then it was fine. It was
Yeah.
way less creepy.
So like After was like the perversion of that lovely scene between the two of them. Anyway.
Yes. Anywho,
Ooh.
would you like to go?
Sure. I have read a few adult romances in the past year, which is something I really never did. And obviously picked up one of the most popular ones, probably in the past year or so, which is We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry.
Oh yes. Tell us more.
With Alex and Poppy. I don't think I particularly love either of their characters. I liked their relationship to each other. And I liked how much she reminded me of myself. Because she was like a world traveler, specifically for a job, but like couldn't pin her down, was always in different countries, and he was very much like hometown boy, like high school teacher in their hometown, bought a house, like they were very opposite. And yeah, the whole premise is that every year they go on a vacation, the two of them, and just all these memories, a lot of sexual tension, which I enjoyed.
Grace does not like slow burn.
I love a slow burn. And so eventually get together, and according to my best friend, then they get boring and lame. But no, it's a really good story. It's well written too. So I'm really excited for her new book, Book Lovers, coming out in May.
Oh, there's a new one.
No
Yeah.
way.
Cool.
Good for
Another
her.
standalone.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So everyone read all the Emily Henrys because she's great.
Yes. Grace, would you like to continue?
I can't believe you said I didn't like slow burn.
You freaked out about the slow burn in A Court of Thorns and Roses. You were
Because it's
raging
not
about
worth it. It's not worth
It
it.
has to be worth it.
But I do. We'll skip to my couple that is a slow burn on my list.
Oh,
Just
she's
to
got a point to prove now.
Yeah, I have a point to prove now. So this is my super extra weird niche pick.
That's okay.
Neil and Andrew from All for the Game. It's a trilogy. The romance does not happen until the 3rd book. And it is like halfway through the 3rd book, and Andrew just goes, "That doesn't mean I wouldn't blow you," and everyone is off the wall.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay.
Doesn't mean I won't blow you.
That doesn't mean I wouldn't blow you. They are
That's romantic.
a fucking mess, first of all. It is hard to explain this series reasonably, but it is like mafia, sports, gay, and that's all the ticks that everyone ever brings up. But basic premise, Neil is a runaway. He loves this made-up sport called angsty. It's basically lacrosse, but inside, and extra violent.
So like Quidditch, question mark? But on your feet?
I hate that you said that.
Sorry.
It is more like lacrosse than Quidditch. But yes, it is also a made-up sport just for this. He is on the run because his dad is a murderer who, like, works for the Yakuza, who is for some reason in America. And the Yakuza owns a big deal angsty team. And for some reason, Neil is an idiot who is just like, I was gonna die at 18. I might as well just, like, fuck around until I actually die. So he goes to college and joins an angsty team.
Is that where you die?
Everything.
Die at college?
He thought he was gonna, because he was like, I might as well go out having fun. My mom's dead. I'm halfway there.
Oh, okay.
But Andrew is a case. He is on, like, really crazy drugs when he meets Neil, because he was like, it was either he goes to jail forever or he goes on these drugs, because it was a whole thing.
Much angst.
There's so much angst happening here the entire time. They are both deeply traumatized, and that's part of why their relationship is so, like, weird and tumultuous. Which, like, I took pics of the book because it was, like, bothering me that I couldn't remember the specific lines. But it was mostly because, like, Andrew grew up in the foster system, and he had a lot of sexual assault happening to him, and it was very bad for him. Which is half of why at this point he is like, hair trigger will stab you and is just like dead inside when he's not on medication. But there's a point in like the last third of the books where Neil is like, why do you let this happen? Why are we a thing at all? And Andrew just says, like, he's reaching for him, and Andrew's like, no, and Neil stops. He's like, that's why. Like, you listen to me, and you, like, you let us go at our own pace, and, like, all this shit. But they're bad at talking, so they don't say these things out loud. And I just, fill me with so much love. But, yeah. The whole, that doesn't mean I wouldn't blow you thing is because, Andrew has been saying forever how much he hates Neil, and how much, like, he just can't do anything. But it's all because he just doesn't, like, he has had such a tumultuous relationship with love that the only feelings he can, like, let himself feel and acknowledge are hate. So, like, he's been saying the whole time that, like, I hate you, I will kill you, no questions asked, like, we are at 100%, I know where I would hide your body, like, shit like that. So, like, when they're trying to talk it out and, like, be weirdos because they're fucking morons who can't get in touch with their emotions at all. And, like, Andrew's giving him so much attention, and Neil's like, fucking why? Like, you said you hate me. Why are we doing this? And he just goes, that doesn't mean I wouldn't blow you. And we're like, what if you stopped? What if you were no longer allowed to speak again? So many feelings. There's this is the breakdown of Grace. We got too soon. But long story short, they're like this for 2.5 books. And then they get to have romance stuff.
Cute.
Goodness.
Cute!
The romance.
Grace is like, did you not hear anything I just said?
And, like, there's a whole thing where this is where we get into true spoiler business, because Neil ends up getting kidnapped by his dad and tortured, and it's awful. But just in time, his uncle, who is also part of a different mafia, swoops in to save him. And then he gets into FBI custody, and we find out that while he was kidnapped, Andrew has gone fucking bonkers. He, like, choked one of their teammates. He is now handcuffed to their coach so that he can't go, like, insane. But the moment they encounter each other again, they're, like, kneeling on the floor. You're not allowed to leave again. We, like, it's so unhealthy. And this whole book series is, like, as I will tell anyone who I've talked to about it, like, it's every trigger warning you could ever think of, and, like, I would not ever recommend it to people. Like, I would not hand it over and be like, I think you would like this. But I do. I do. I like it a lot. Anyway, that was my 30 minutes on a book that we'll never do an episode on, so...
That was not a 30 minutes.
It felt like it. I had a lot of feelings there.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you with a controversial one.
Did it?
Which is gonna be also controversial because later on I talk about why I no longer read this series and why I don't like it anymore. But nonetheless, Tessa and Jem, the Infernal Devices, which is the first of the Shadowhunters spin-off series following the City of Bones in the initial series.
Yes.
This one takes place in kind of like the steampunk era, like 1800s London. The ancestors of quite a few of the people in the first series. We have Tessa, who is a creature of dubious origin. We're not quite sure what she is, but she can shapeshift. She is a shapeshifter. We know that she's rare. So it's not like we don't know anything about her, but we, as far as the Shadowhunters in the book, no, none of them have ever met anybody else that has that ability without the use of potions, etc. She just has the ability, it's inherent. And we have Jem, who is a Shadowhunter at the London Institute. Jem is interesting because he is dying. He is dying because he has been bitten and cursed by a demon. The only way to slow this curse down is by taking a drug. However, if he stops taking this drug, he will just immediately die as opposed to down the road. So the drug is also killing him, but it's pushing off his death.
Sounds like chemotherapy.
Yeah,
Ooh.
effectively. Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In a typical love triangle, similar to the first series, Tessa is caught between Jem and his, how do you say it,
Parapetized? I think you got it.
Okay, yeah.
I've only ever heard it say out loud
his
by
battle
one
buddy,
other person, so...
Will, who we don't like, who is the typical bad boy asshole, pretty much Jace round 2, if you have read the first series. We like Jem because he doesn't push her away, he doesn't play with her emotions. Not only does he say that he wants to date and get married, he is respectful of her wishes and her emotions. He does not keep her in the dark with how he's feeling and why he's upset about things. Basically, he shows her basic respect, is what...
You have a low bar?
Yeah, so I will go in a little bit later into why I no longer read this series and why I don't like it anymore. But yeah, that is Tessa and Jem from the Infernal Devices, the Clockwork Angel series.
I heard that they're like fun as a love triangle because of this parapetized relationship thing. But I genuinely don't know enough about like any of it because I tried to read that first book like 3 times and just couldn't. So yeah, I didn't know everybody hated Will.
I mean, I don't know if everybody hates Will. I don't like him. I think like at this point too, this is a general statement, I'm kind of over the whole bad boy treating the heroine inappropriately type thing. The tortured bad boy. Like it can be done well, and that's not to say that I'm never going to read something else that has that trope. I feel that, and I know that not everyone's going to agree with me, but I'm just so over it at this point that it's not appealing to me anymore, and it's overdone, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I do find I struggle to get behind it more when it's like a heterosexual relationship, because the like inherent gender dynamics that are already there just like make all of the bad boy attitude feel that much worse in a way. Like, oh, wish you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janine.
I thought maybe I'd go dark.
Uh-oh.
The last
We
one,
love it.
with a little life, and I will not spoil it because
That's
I
fine.
refuse to let Grace not be punched in the face by this book.
You're committed to this.
I am. It is an 800-page Man Booker Prize monstrosity,
It is.
so it's a lot.
Oh, Booker Prize.
It didn't win. I don't think it was a finalist.
Does that mean it's Canadian?
No, I don't think it's Canadian.
Oh, I thought the Booker Prize was Canadian. I could
Maybe
be
I'm
wrong. I could be confusing it.
Regardless.
No, that's the Giller Prize. I'm sorry.
So Willem and Jude, I think you've gotten far enough.
Yeah, I
to know
know.
this
They
episode?
like just got together and are like being happy, and Jude is like slowly exposing his trauma, and I cry. Every time.
So I feel like with that couple, Willem and Jude, that is the only bright spot in Jude's entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Entire life. Because that is the most traumatic, sad book you're ever going to pick up. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. My brother's girlfriend and I read it together as a book club, and I regretted suggesting it because I did not realize how intense it was going to be. Someone had suggested to me. She was like, my friend described that as trauma porn. But I'm glad I read it. We both said that, and it will still be for the rest of my life. But yeah, I just think Willem is so sweet to Jude, like, especially in having to tiptoe around all those traumas, like you're saying. It's a lot, and yeah, I think Jude deserved like one bit of like happiness. I mean, there was a couple of people who definitely treated Jude well, obviously, like his other friends and whatnot, but still.
I know, but they, like, that part of the book is literally called The Happy Years or something, or like The Happy Time or something like that. And like I didn't know where it was going when that was like established as the different part, but I was just so ready for it to not be the fucking worst, and then it wasn't, because Willem is such a sweetie.
But just wait.
I don't want to get past this part.
You should stop in The Happy Years. Yeah. Maybe I should have. Because that book broke me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are so good for each other too, and even like there is the whole thing about like Willem being there for Jude all the time, and like having the patience to not deal with, but like help him cope with all of his traumas. But I also feel like Jude is such a grounding presence for Willem, and like
for all their friends.
Yes. And I feel like it could be misconstrued or something that, like, Willem is just replacing his dead brother with Jude or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because he had, like, set it up in his mind or whatever that he was going to take care of his brother forever. And now he has Jude, who, like, also has all of these debilitating health issues. But that's not what's happening. No. I just feel like if you're want to make Willem a villain, that's what you would
And even
say.
even if that somehow was what's happening, don't let yourself think that, because you deserve the happy years. Jude deserves the happy years.
He does!
Because it's only gonna get worse.
It's only getting worse!
So, there we go, I just wanted to set Grace off. Please finish the book so I can talk about the ending. But like, do it when you're in a place that it won't ruin you.
Oh.
I don't know.
My reading
when that is. Yeah. So that was my third, I guess.
They are good.
So.
Me? It is me.
It is you.
Are we doing 3 or 4?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
3 is fine. 4 is fine. I just might have to dip out.
That's fine.
Although I realize the best only come every half hour, which is awful.
That's okay. I will put my my token hets in here. My token hets for my likes. I find a lot of heterosexual relationships obligatory when I'm reading them, especially in like fantasy, which is my go-to. But these two, I did not feel that. Marco and Alana from the graphic novel series Saga. They are amazing. It's a big old space opera, and like he's from the moon and she's from a planet that I don't remember the name of right now, but they meet while their planets are in civil war, because her planet is trying to conquer the galaxy, basically. And
much drama.
Much drama. And they meet while he's a prisoner under her, and bond over this romance novel. And it is just like the cutest shit, but we open with the birth of their child, and they are already married. And I feel like I can really appreciate relationships that are like built into the story already more than I can get behind ones that need to be built up to, because like I just struggle so hard with these, let's have them slowly fall in love is not a problem for me, but it does need to be a lot more explicit, I worry sometimes, than for other people, because I just don't catch on the hints half the time. And I just, like, it will be like 2/3 through a book and they're already kissing, and I'm like, they're in love? Okay. So when it's a relationship that comes into the book and they're already past all the, like, build-up, I'm like, okay, this is just a thing. Cool. Sounds good. But they are also just, like, generally cute, and they get to have a lot of ideological battles, like, now that they're already married and, like, have to work through their stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I really like them. They're fun. Yeah.
So I'm on my last one here. I would say that my last favorite couple, I'm currently on the last book of the series. It is Pip and Ravi from the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, which is about a woman, a senior in high school, who has a podcast where she talks about her experience solving her town's unsolved murder. And Ravi is the brother of the one of the people that was murdered in the first book, or prior to the first book starting, in the case that she's discussing in her podcast, and she believes that Ravi's brother was wrongfully accused, because the way that it is at the beginning of the book, people believe that Ravi's brother killed his girlfriend and then killed himself, and she doesn't believe that. So she sets out to exonerate Ravi's brother, who has passed away. So watching their relationship build through that, and watching him kind of learn to trust her and accept that she's very much an alpha female. He calls her Sarge. It's very cute.
I do love
very
that.
respectful. The way that he's never rude to her. There's no, like, bad boy, I'm bad for you talk. I really appreciate how they, as a couple, sort of, as they encounter problems, they don't just wallow and feel sorry for themselves. They just, make a plan as to how to react and how to move forward, and I really appreciated that. Because there's also never any talk of, like, them breaking up, or maybe we're not good for each other. Like, it's just we're together, how do we tackle our problems together? It was really nice, and I would highly recommend that series. I have just begun the last book, and I'm very sad that the series is ending, because I really, really enjoyed it. As a side note, it's one of my favorite covers. It's a murder board, like, with the string and the pieces of paper, and I don't know why I like it so much, but it's, like, one of my favorite covers.
It is very fun.
I really want to read that series.
It's really good. I would highly recommend. And the mystery feels very attainable, which is nice. Like, sometimes you read thrillers or mysteries and it's almost too needlessly complicated.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this is, like, complicated but not hard to understand, if that makes sense. Like, if you're not paying attention, you'll get confused, but it's not hard to follow if you're paying attention. Do you have any more couples that you liked, or should we...
I don't believe I did. I didn't prepare properly. Oh, no, I did, actually. I wrote One Last Stop, which is my first lesbian novel, which I picked up because I really wanted to read Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I was, like, number 8 billion on the host list, and Grace lent it to me, but I still haven't read it. But this is the same author. And Jane and August. This would be a huge spoiler, because I didn't read the back or anything, and I didn't expect it, but Jane is like not a ghost, but she's kind of like, she's from the 1970s?
Yeah. And
she got stuck on the subway for 50 years, and then that's when she meets August, and they have this, like, passionate romance. And the weirdest thing to me, though, is, like, all the sex scenes have to take place in public on the subway, because Jane can't leave the subway. So it's like, this is extra, like, naughty, because you can, like...
Janine is making a face that is equal parts repulsed and intrigued.
I wasn't fully against it, I guess. I shouldn't. But, it was like a well-written story. I didn't expect where it went. I don't know if I loved the couple together, per se. Like, I did feel... It was one of those, like, one's a good girl and one's, like, a bad girl. Not a bad girl, but, like, back in the 70s, she was a part of all of the, like, riots and the protesting.
The good bad girl.
Gay rights.
She's alternative, shall we say.
Yeah, like, wears a leather jacket and, but they were very cute, and in the end, she finds a way to stay in 2020, which the weirdest part of this book to me is that it's set in 2020, and there's no pandemic, and every time I read something where it's just, like, pretends it never happened, I'm like, that's kind of nice. I wish that was the world.
I wish it never happened.
Don't we all?
Here we are.
Yeah.
Do you have any more that you liked, Grace?
I do have one more like. It's another one of my weird niche books, but this one was at least commercially published. The Tarot Sequence is a very fun series. but my favorite couple out of them is Rune and Adam. The whole premise is that like each of the tarot cards, like the Majora, have like different courts in Atlantis. And Atlantis is a real place. They ended up like stealing a bunch of landmarks from around the world, and they just like exist near Nantucket.
Sorry, Atlantis is near Nantucket?
Yep. It is. I never followed the geography of it at all, but that's not the important part. The important
Are you sure
part.
this isn't by Ellen Hildebrand?
Shots fired.
What? I don't know your joke.
Ellen Hildebrand's written over 20 books and they're all set in fucking Nantucket.
Stop it. Ellen, no.
And it's always in the title.
What?
Yeah, not always.
28
90%
summers.
of the time.
Now she's got like a summer
The
affair.
Golden Girl.
And the Golden... You do know her.
I know of her. I've never read a single one of her books.
I've read more than I should admit to.
Probably.
But yeah, anyways, bad joke.
But yes, so.
A lot of her stuff is also about middle-aged women finding themselves.
It really is.
We stand.
And I used to read it when I was 16.
Yup, tracks. Talking about shots fired.
It does try.
Anyway, my gaze. So, Rune is the head of the Sun Court. Adam is one of the sons of the Justice Court. There's a whole bunch of drama going on in the Justice Court in the first book, and Adam is missing, so Rune gets hired by Lady Justice to find Adam and, like, figure out this whole big mystery, because what the fuck is happening? And, you know, spoiler alert, he does find him, like, halfway through the book, and Adam's like, oh, no way, I'm so happy to see you. And we're all like, didn't you just get kidnapped? And, you know, he did, but he's a very happy-go-lucky guy. And Rune has a lot of past trauma that, like, hasn't really prevented him from having a nice enough time, but, like, his court got raided, and his entire, like, his entire manor is, like, just demolished and full of ghosts, and the only people in his court left are, like, him and his... I don't even remember what they call them, but it's basically just a human that is there to protect you because you're an important person, TM. But yeah, they're very lovely and supportive of each other, and since they are these major arcana, they have magic powers-ish. And when Adam is using his around Rune, he is, like, especially powerful, so he is convinced that Rune is his soulmate, and, like, tries to also convince Rune of this. But he's still, like, a little bit too sad to recognize that he's deserving of long-term love. So the whole second book is, like, Adam trying to be included and, like, help him on all of his fun mercenary business. And Rune just being like, you don't actually want to do this. You don't feel this way about me, you liar, stop it. But, like, we all know that he does. And, I just love it so much.
Love a good gay romance.
I mean,
Love a good gay angsty romance.
Maybe that could be one of my trends.
Is it a teen novel?
No. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grace, I'm surprised that you didn't say that Tamlin and Feyre were your favorite couple. I have to be honest.
On what planet? They're not even on my list.
She has notes, guys.
I have notes.
She has notes.
Handwritten notes.
Okay, hear me out though.
Yes.
Feyre and Mesuriel.
I thought we were doing canon. If we're doing non-canon.
That opens up so many things. So, I think with my dislikes, I'm just gonna go through them because, as I look at my list, they're pretty much all for the same reason. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna list them and then, yeah, because I'd rather than repeat myself like 5 times.
Mine are very similar like that, yeah.
So I'm just gonna say, there are 2 categories for me in terms of my dislikes. So the first category, we have Clary and Jace from the Mortal Instruments, Tessa and Will from the Infernal Devices, and Bella Jacob Edward from the Twilight Saga, but not for the reasons that you might think. Okay?
I really want to know what the reasons you think we think that you don't like it is, more than I want to know what your actual reason is.
Well, like when I was telling one of my friends about she was said, do you dislike Bella Jacob Edward because you think she ended up with the wrong person because you're Team Jacob? And I was like, no, that's not it at all.
No.
It has to do with
not at all.
The fact that Jacob and Edward, I kind of touched on how I hate this before, but don't treat Bella like she has agency most of the time. I find that they treat her as though she's inferior to them, despite, even though she's a human, which maybe that's it, maybe that's not, I don't know. And I don't like it. I get sick of her, and I know that, we don't like Bella for other reasons, but I kind of sympathize with her when she's mad that she gets left out of decisions and they keep her in the dark, and Edward doesn't tell her things because he thinks that she can't handle it or something, and that, I don't like that, and that bugs me.
Yep. Yeah. And that's half of why I'm really on her side about her wanting to be a vampire. Like, all of that business, yes, she's 16. Who the fuck cares? She gets to live forever now. She can fuck up all she wants. This is a decision that she's wanted to make, and she's wanted to make it for 4 fucking years.
Yeah.
Let it happen, bitch.
She was 12?
No. She was 16.
She meets Edward when she's 17.
17.
Okay, so now she's 21 when she wants to be a vampire.
No, she gets changed when she's 19.
Yeah, it was 4 books, but it was not 4 years.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway.
No.
Again, read that when I was 15.
I haven't read it at all. Fun fact.
I mean, cultural osmosis is a thing.
Cultural osmosis is really a thing.
Clary and Jason, Tessa and Will, both from Shadowhunters series by Cassandra Clare. I don't like Jason Will, kind of like what I touched on before. It's the bad boy. I'm really sick of it. I'm kind of tired of seeing people using past trauma as an excuse to treat the females poorly. And I know that that's probably not going to go away. And maybe I'll get back to it eventually and there will be a bad boy that I like. But I just find it's overdone. And the reason that I don't read the Shadowhunter series anymore is because I need to stress that this is unproven, but I have seen a lot of evidence of Cassandra Clare not treating her fans the best, which I don't like. And also, I find that most of the Shadowhunters books are the same. It's the same love triangle between the girl and the 2 Shadowhunters who are Parabatai, and I'm just sort of over it. And, if you like that, good for you. If you like that, can keep on keeping on. Not the worst thing you could read, but it's just, after reading 3 separate series of massive books.
Oh, they're gigantic.
They're gigantic, and I'm over it. So, yeah. The last one, I would say I lied, there's 3. So I read Pretty Little Liars in my teenage years, which was fun, and it's, I'm not going to sit here and say that Sarah Shepard is a bad person or that she was trying to suggest problematic things, but when you reread them as an adult, because I reread some of them during the initial stages of the pandemic just for fun, and I was like, goodness, this is hella problematic. Again, it's that I really hate the power imbalances, and I don't mean in terms of that, and also, but treating your girlfriend like she's inferior. I really hate that, and there's a lot of that in the Pretty Little Liars series. That's where I'm at with that. Yeah. So those are all my dislikes. Do you have any dislikes, Janine?
Yeah, I guess my number one, which I should have thought of right away, was the one that I bitch about all the time, which is Emily Giffen's The One and Only. And I'm not going to try and remember their names.
Nope.
They don't deserve it.
Shay was the main character. I don't remember
Shay and Old Man. I mean, mind you, they are in their 30s. This isn't a teen novel, but
it's consensual.
The main character falls in love with her best friend's dad, which just so I don't care how old you are. It's a weird thing to do. Plus, her best friend's dad used to be their coach, growing up, and she calls him coach. That's all she calls him, and I hate it so much. And their whole relationship is disgusting. And I had to read it out loud to my roommate so I could get through it. So that's them. And then I just read a teen novel called You Say It First last semester, and
you guys don't understand. She went on about this for 2 months.
Because it was awful.
It was.
Because I also have a problem with this was a couple where so she had a job where she would cold call people trying to get them to vote. And so she cold called this guy's house asking for his dad, obviously not knowing that his dad was dead, which set him off. And then he raged at her about it, which is it's not her fucking fault.
Yeah.
But anyways, she ended up feeling bad. No, he felt bad. So he called back and, like, left his number and was like, I'm sorry. And they ended up, like, talking and then creating this, like phone relationship. They lived in different cities, 3 hours away or whatever, 6 hours away. But, like, the whole thing to me was, like, they were a horrible couple. They were horrible to each other. They were horrible for each other. Like, they wanted completely different things in life. They didn't want to even be in the same place. And, like, the one time that she came to his town went terribly, and all of his friends were mean to her, and it was just awful. And then, and she had to go stay in a hotel because she was so upset. And then that's when they decided to have sex. Like, why? And then I got the most mad at the end because they ended up together. Like, they were broken up, and then they came back. In the end, they meet, like, at a diner halfway between their two towns and, like, reconcile. And I'm like, no, because this teaches teenagers that, like, bad relationship like this should be worth, like, keeping, and they're not. Like,
After.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think a lot of the teen books I read when I was a teen, I feel like they romanticize relationships maybe too much, because I always, like, I used to say with my friend Jess, we'd be like, we're never going to be, like, happy with a real man because all the men we've read about are too good. But then there's this side of it where, at the very least, they should end up not together, if you ask me. So that's my rant on that one. I don't know if I have... Those are the two that I was most passionate about. I read a romance called The Simple Wild last year, which is quite popular now. I think it's a trilogy, and I've not read the other ones, about a girl who, it's Canadian, she lives in Toronto, and she goes to Alaska to stay with her, like, estranged father, and then this was, like, enemies to lovers. She meets this guy, and they hate each other, and then they end up, like, passionately in love, and then she ends up moving to Alaska, and then the whole thing is they end up getting married in another book. But I don't like an enemies to lovers.
Granted.
I don't.
It can go wrong so easily and go too far so easily.
Yeah.
Like, Simon and Baz I was okay with because, like, Baz was never actually an enemy. He was just, like, playing along with Simon's perception of him. But yeah, no.
But to me, if someone starts out by treating you like shit, and then it turns into now we're together, that's stupid.
I mean, like, ideological
enemies.
Like, on opposite side of a war, or, like...
That's fine.
Like, that stuff's
that's
fine.
different. But I mean, straight up, like, okay, I haven't read it, but you've read The Hating Game? Yes. I've heard a lot about how that's, like, the classic trope of enemies to lovers. Did you like that?
I don't remember. Sorry.
Gone.
But anyways, those are mine.
Who'd you dislike?
The theme of my dislike is obligatory heterosexual relationship. So 2 of them are V.E. Schwab books, which, so Kel and Lila from A Dark Shade of Magic, and then August and Kate from Monsters of Verity, which arguably August and Kate aren't actually a romantic couple, but, like, it is very much emphasized that they have romantic feelings for each other at minimum, and I just don't think that that's a thing that should have happened. If only because, like, August, the whole point of this series is that there are these crazy monsters that are all born of violence, and August and his siblings, quote unquote, are born of, like, mass murders, so they are the most powerful, in theory. And his whole thing is that he doesn't have feelings but wants to. And I just feel like giving him love was the incorrect thing to do. Like, it didn't feel worth it, and I wanted it to be more of a conflict for him that he was even slightly having these feelings, or that, like, that this was happening to him at all, because, like, if his whole thing is that he wants to feel something, the suddenness of feeling something should be more stressful. And then Kel and Lila, like, Lila is just quintessential, I'm not like other girls, as is Kate. And then Kel is your magic sad boy. Also, the entire time while reading that trilogy, I was a Holland sympathizer, and he did not get enough attention. I will take questions, but I will not take criticisms, is a note that I made. Because I love him with all my heart. He deserved better. And Kel and Lila got way too much attention compared to him. Especially because, again, they are just so painful. And it's very similar to what you were saying about how these boys will decide that the women in their lives just are not strong enough to deal with something, or, like, aren't allowed to know anything at all. And he does explain some of what's happening to her, but not nearly enough. And I really like especially feel like it's obligatory for a V.E. Schwab book because I read Vicious and I loved it because the one relationship in it is very much like they are not in love with each other at all, and they both know it. They are both using each other and manipulating each other openly. Like, they are using each other for their power. And I feel like that's where she's at her best, rather than even trying to build these romantic relationships. And then my other one is Thomas and Teresa in Maze Runner. There was literally no reason for them to be a romantic couple, except I am main boy and she is single girl in this whole series. But then my, like, the inner, like, queer activist in my brain is, like, there was 30 boys in the same camp for years. There should have been at least one gay. Like, one. Just one. And there wasn't, because James Dashner has no imagination. I don't even know.
I did read that series, and I do not remember it super well, but I do remember distinctly feeling that relationship felt like it was something thrown in after the whole thing was written. Like, it just felt very rushed and added in. I don't know why I got that impression, but that's the distinct memory I have from The Maze Runner.
Exactly. Like, I got through the first book, and they were fine, and then I started the second book, and suddenly they're, like, inseparable in love. They also have a weird telepathic connection. That just, like, makes it even more uncomfortable that they are, like, so obsessed and dependent on each other. And, like, the whole, like, I mentioned that I really like the pre-established relationships because it doesn't make me think so hard about the build-up and be so critical of it. But, like, their relationship is backfilled instead because they have the whole, like, amnesia thing. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we used to, like, we designed the maze together and we're, like, super smart and we're just, like, so in love. And the more I was thinking about their relationship, the more my brain was like, maybe the Maze Runner series was just, like, actually bad. Like, maybe it wasn't just them as a couple, but, like, maybe the whole thing was bad, you know?
Yeah. So our last section for you is couples that we are on the fence about. So I have one. It's Feyre and Rhysand from the ACOTAR series. Reason that I'm on the fence about it is that on one hand, I appreciate that Rhys does the opposite of what I've been complaining about this entire episode, which is he does acknowledge that Feyre has agency. He involves her in decisions.
Except in the first book.
He kind of half-asses it, because he involves her in a lot of major things, but he leaves some of it out, like the fact that they're mates. That might have been useful for her to know at some point.
Maybe.
And you might argue, like, oh, for character development, like, she wasn't ready to know. It was like, only she can make that decision. And I feel that their relationship, like, it went really gung-ho in book 2, so no spoilers because we still have to do our book 3 episode, but in book 3, it almost doesn't feel like they're together. Like, it's more of a relationship, like, it's more of a friendship, pardon me, than a relationship, which is fine. Like, if that's the route that SJM wanted to go, then that's totally fine, but then, you know, Feyre kept insisting, and Rhysand kept insisting that the mate link between them was really strong, and that they were super possessive of each other. Okay, fine, like, that's fine, but they didn't really act like it. And I know that that's very subjective of me to say, and I know that people aren't going to necessarily agree with everything I just said, but it is just I don't know, it's literally just a feeling that I had about them in book 3. Like, it didn't really feel like they were together. Like, a lot of the scenes between them, it was just like, it could have been between Feyre and anyone else. Like, it just happened to be Rhys. Like, the same scene could have occurred between Feyre and Cassie and it would have had the same effect. That's all I got. Do you have anyone that you're on the fence about, Janine?
Hold on. I wanna insert first, because I feel bad almost that you have this feeling about their relationship, because, like, I have not read it, but I know what happens in Nesta's book.
Yeah.
And he gets so much worse, specifically about giving her choice. So just, like, chew on that nugget. Look forward to reading that.
Oh, I know, I've heard.
Yeah, it makes me rage.
Lori, another one of our peers, read it, and they told me that they basically spoiled it for me. Which is fine. I actually didn't mind. I was like, I don't even know. Like, this book I got, like, for free. I didn't pay for it, so I'm less committed to reading it if I don't feel like. I'm gonna really need to be in the mood to be in Nesta's headspace for 800 pages. That's gonna be a very, like, specific mood.
Yeah, granted.
Sorry, Janine, do you have anyone you're on the fence about?
I didn't really. I guess I could be kind of on the fence about the people in the book I'm reading right now.
Sure.
In detransition, baby?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Amy and Reese. Just the more I read it, like, it's getting kind of like they have a fucked up relationship or had a fucked up relationship. They're not together anymore. That's the thing, so it goes back and forth. They're both trans, but one detransitioned.
Sorry, is it on and off again relationship?
No.
It's not. It's essentially like it's kind of before and after sort of parts, the back and forth. So like back when they were together and then in the current time when they're not. And when they were together, they were both trans women. And now one is still a trans woman and one is detransitioned back to being a man again.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hard to, for Amy, Reese, the one who's still a woman, to deal with. But the more you go back, you realize, like, Reese, like, cheated on Amy really badly and, like, got caught. And, like, there's all this stuff where you're like, oh, I don't know. But they go through a lot of trauma. I don't know. It's a very confusing, interesting relationship. And I don't hate that. I like the idea of them together when they were together, but I wish they'd treat each other better. But I'm not done the book yet. So
I hope it gets fun.
Third left.
Grace, who are you on the fence about?
Okay, I have a lot of. I guess like 2.5 on my list here.
2.5. Interesting.
3, and one of them technically counts as 2.
Okay.
Both of the couples in the Raven cycle.
Okay.
So both Adam and Ronan, and then Blue and Gansey. And I pulled quotes specifically, and it's Ronan's second secret with Adam Parrish, and then a quote from Gansey, she makes the world quiet. Because, like, my thing with them is that I entirely believe that Ronan is in love with Adam and that Gansey is in love with Blue. But the other way around...
Cathedral Lane toward College Street.
Oh no! They'll know where you live. But like,
Please come and kill me because I don't want to hand in this assignment tomorrow. So I will post this tonight so y'all can come and kill me before then.
no.
It's all good.
So
it's all
good.
good.
But yeah,
Janine is hating this process so much that she's already pulled up her Google Maps to get out of here.
It's like bedtime's
You- yeah.
important to me, and the bus only comes every half an hour right now, which is making me sad.
it's best time.
And
It's
it came
bedtime
early,
for
so I
you.
missed it. Don't worry,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. Oh. Okay. But yeah, so I entirely believe in like half of these relationships. But like Adam, he is so full of trauma, and he has just not had the time to even think about a romantic relationship. So when they get together, and Adam is immediately like, "Hey Gansey, I kissed Ronan, and how do you know you're in love?" It was really Ronan kissed Adam on his birthday. On like Ronan's birthday, and then almost immediately Adam comes downstairs and Gansey is like looking out at the field, and he's like, "Hey Gansey, I kissed Adam. How do you know what love is?" And Gansey's like, "Are you fucking serious?" And it's a really nice it's a really nice conversation. That's when Gansey says she makes the world quiet, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cute," And even, like, Blue has the same level of chemistry to me with all of the boys, not just Gansey. And the whole premise of the story is that she will kill her true love with her first kiss or some shit. So the moment she kisses him, he will die. And she knows that she's gonna kill him and that he's her true love because she saw his spirit on St. Mark's Night, I think they call it. Which, like... There's a whole lot of weird psychic stuff going on in that book, but it's all really fun. So it feels very much on Blue's end that she is in love with this man because she was told that this is her true love, and I just don't see it as well as they do. And they even try to pull the whole thing where she's dating Adam for the first 2 books, I think, to like show that she's falling out of love with Adam and falling in love with Gansey. She cheats on him. Fun fact. We didn't like that. But yeah, so I was really iffy about those ones. I do, continue to read and enjoy all of those books over and over again. And I haven't read Mr. Impossible yet, but Called on the Hawk is a treat, especially because you get to see Adam at university being a Harvard boy, and we're all like, "You're pretending to be Gansey, but you're Adam. What are you doing?" Who am I on the list? Oh, I have Max and Fang on my list because you had it as one of your like favorite childhood books. Maximum
We are going to do an episode on our favorite childhood books.
Yes.
Like not just YA, but like child
Yes.
Like actual, when we were children, feels like a zillion years ago.
Yeah.
My birthday is coming up, and I woke up this morning, cracked my neck, knuckles, knees, and ankles, and then I took my cup of coffee and stood at the window, glaring outside, and I was like, this is it. I've reached the pinnacle of my age.
Are you not turning like 24?
Yeah.
I feel like 28. Like, I hate when like
Oh,
little
lady.
youngins are like, oh my god, I cracked my knuckles. Like, oh my god, I'm still single. No.
I feel old.
Yeah.
Like, every day I just feel old. Anyway, this is my problem.
Yeah. But yeah, with the two of them, it was not as much of a case of them feeling obligatory like the other relationships that I talked about did, and more so that like their little pack of children made a family, and Fang and Max were like the obligatory parents, so obviously they had to fall in love, is how it felt to me. I was also, again, paying way more attention to Iggy. I loved him with all my heart.
He's great.
He's great!
Also the gas
So-
man.
The gas man?
Yeah. Remember? He's the
No.
one that, he was like the 12-year-old one that wore goggles all over the
Oh my
place.
gosh. I forgot about all of those children, because
It was Max, Fang, Iggy, the
Is it
gas
just-
man, and Angel.
Okay,
There's
so I
five of
only
them.
forgot him. Cool.
He was my favorite. The only thing
That's
I
so
remember
funny.
about him is that he wore goggles all over the place. I don't know. It was just fun.
I don't know, they're a treat. And yeah, I also just have like love triangles in general. I feel like they're a bit of an overused trope, but they can also be done really well and really effectively. It's just like very, very contentious. You gotta do them well in ways that like other romance tropes you don't really need to do super well. Like soulmates, that's hard to fuck up. But love triangle,
I think, like, I don't know why I'm so over tropes all of a sudden, but, like, love triangles, I just don't. I think because when we were in the YA section, that was all there was love triangles post Twilight Saga,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of done with it still, even to this day.
This summer I turned pretty. So that's
Yeah.
triangle.
You said stuff about that as well. You said you didn't really love it.
I just didn't like the love triangle because two of them were brothers. That's kind of weird.
Why are some people, like, turned on by that? Like, why does that get some people's gears going? I don't get it. Sometimes I look at, like, the romance tropes in, like, the super smutty books in Kindle Unlimited just for, like, shits and giggles, and I'm like, why are people attracted to this?
Everybody has different things. that
Side
they're
note,
into.
I went over budget a couple weeks ago, so I, like, needed something to read, but I couldn't, like, buy a new book.
mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I have my Kindle Unlimited because I'm Amazon Prime student. And I just downloaded a random one, and I didn't even really read the back that detailed. And then at first I was like, oh, she's in love with this guy. That's cute. Oh, she might be in love with his brother. Oh, there's a love triangle. Nope, this is a menage book. I was like, oh, okay, they're having sex all together. Okay.
See, yeah, when they're all included in the sex, that stresses me out. I'm not, like, I think it's weird when you're both in love with the same person, like, when two family members are in love with the same person, but you mentioning the book about the girl who falls in love with her best friend's dad just reminded me of a manga I read once, that, like, the whole thing of it was that he was in love with his best friend's dad, and when his best friend was like, I don't know anything about sex, he was like, I will teach you sex things, like, you're gonna be useless anyway. So he was using his friend for sex because he looked like his dad. He had a crush on his dad. It's
That
just really
is
fucking
all
bonkers.
kinds of messed up.
It's super fucked, and it was really not that good, but it was one of those ones where I was like, I have to know where this goes. I have to finish this. I did not have to finish it, but I did. He ends up, like, bonding with the dad one-on-one briefly and being like, maybe I don't love you. Maybe I like the idea of you.
Jeez, that's a whole, oh goodness.
It's a
And
whole thing.
that is a good way, that's a good place to wrap it up.
Really cementing Grace
yeah.
as the freak.
I'm really glad that we didn't say this was a mini-sode, because I knew going into it, I was like, look, this is gonna not be a mini-sode, it's gonna be a full-length episode.
We all picked so many things.
Yeah, but you know what? That was fun. I'm glad we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for joining us, Janine.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get Janine on the podcast for, I don't know why no one wants to be on our podcast.
Because we don't read their books. We barely read each
That's
other's
it.
books.
Yeah.
I think that's why we work, though. You know, maybe we're soulmates.
Aw.
We're bookmates.
Podmates?
Sure, podmates.
Podmates sounds like a weird sci-fi.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway.
Oh well. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell us how much you love us, or send us hate mail. That's fine too, because that counts as engagement.
Yes.
So, we don't know what our next episode is going to be. We have been discussing it, but we're not going to say anything because it will probably not end up being the thing that we do. We hope that you guys had a good January. January's over, which is fantastic, and now we're in Singles Awareness Month.
Also, band/challenge books week is coming up shortly,
Oh,
and African Heritage Month in Canada, but Black History Month in America. So many good things for February. Valentine's Day. Fuck Valentine's Day.
February 15th, when all the chocolate goes on sale.
Yeah. White Day/Black Day, which is also a couples thing. It is not a death thing. Don't worry about it.
Or a race thing?
No.
Oh,
It is
that's
neither
where
of
I
those
went.
things. No, it is like I don't remember which one. I don't remember which is which, but one of them is for like you give chocolates to your significant other, and then the other one is you give chocolates to your friends. I do not remember which one's which or when it is. Don't ask me. I just know they exist. You don't want chocolate from your friends?
Awkward.
Yes, I do.
It's because they'll have palm oil in
Probably just have palm oil in it, and just like awkwardly have to leave it in my cupboard for 10 years, like the chocolates my landlord gave me because they're full of palm oil.
Bring it to your cat.
That's not good for animals.
I mean, he would like it though.
He's not allowed people food, even though he will do anything in his power to have people.
Your cat thinks he's a dog. Just saying.
He is a dog. He
Yes,
found
sweetie.
the dill from my recipe tonight, like the stem of it, and he was like hardcore playing with it for like a half hour. I was like, cool. I had to
Sweet
Google
boy.
like, is dill dangerous for cats?
I have no
The
idea.
answer is no.
Oh, well, there you go. Now, at least you guys learned something by
There you
listening
go.
all the way to the end. So we will see you next time, or rather, you'll hear us next time because this is a podcast. You can't see us. On Books, Bitches, and Bullshit. See you next time.
Bye bye.